All right, today we're going to be talking about how to know if your ex is thinking about you. And if you stick around until the end of this video, not only am I going to be teaching you these 7 main signs that you should be keeping an eye out for if your ex is thinking about you, but you're also going to gain an understanding on why we believe it's a very low likelihood that they won't be thinking about you. But first things first, if you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe or like button below. That will help our videos out incredibly with YouTube algorithm, and it will just make me feel good and I'll do better in the videos. All right, so why is it that we think that it's very likely that an ex is thinking about you after a breakup? Notice the key word there is thinking about you and not obsessed with you. So when I was trying to plan this video out, I really thought about look, there's a billion signs that we can talk about on, hey, your ex is thinking about you if this happens or this happens. I think it's more interesting to look at the signs that your ex is not only thinking about you, but still has some small feelings for you. But let's talk about the research. So according to research of people who are going through a breakup, scientists have found that the same part of the brain that lights up when they think about a partner who's left them is actually the same part of the brain that lights up for a drug addict who is going through withdrawal. Now, this is one of the primary reasons why we believe that exes are thinking about you constantly. You cannot just get over an addiction of love in this way overnight. You can't get over this kind of addiction or feeling like this in a week, in a month. Maybe in a few years it's possible to kind of come off that high. But ultimately, your ex is going to be thinking about you. At least there's a high likelihood possibility that they will be thinking about you. But what about the signs that they're thinking about you? Like, what are those little known signs that they're not only thinking about you, but they still have a little bit of feeling for you? Well, we've identified 7 main signs that your ex is thinking about you and has some intent of kind of romanticizing you. Real quick, I want to say that if you're new to this YouTube channel or you're trying to figure out what you should be doing to get your ex back and you're trying to learn if you even have a chance in your specific circumstance, probably the smartest thing for you to do is actually stop by our website, www.exboyfriendrecovery.com, or take our Ex Recovery Chances quiz that can be found at exboyfriendrecovery.com. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, taking that free quiz is super easy to do. All you have to simply do is look in the description link below this YouTube video and click on the link you see there. It will take you directly to the quiz where you can fill it out and get an easy answer on what you should be doing going forward and overall what your chances look like in your specific situation. All right, so let's get you back to the video. Sign number 1, they have that knee-jerk reaction to the no contact rule. So a couple of videos ago, I talked about the no contact rule and why it works. Like, what is the psychology or psychological basis behind why it's so effective? And what was interesting is I talked about this concept of psychological reactance. Basically, by taking someone's behavioral freedom away from them, they're reacting in a way, or they get this feeling or this gut nasty feeling inside that they need to get that back. Well, if your ex, if you use a no contact rule on them and they have this knee-jerk reaction where they immediately get upset about the fact that you are ignoring them, this is a great sign that not only is the no contact working the way it's supposed to be working, but they are having a lot of trouble not thinking about you. Sign number 2, they block you and unblock you. So in preparation for this specific video, I went to our private Facebook group to see if I could find real life signs that are being exhibited by exes who are thinking a lot about their exes. What was interesting is there was a girl on the Facebook group who recently said that her ex blocked her on Facebook, right? So he clicked block, so she couldn't see anything. Well, then a few days later, he unblocks her and then begins to re-upload some of their photos together. Not all of them, and not all the best ones, but some of them. Now, this is a pretty good indicator that your ex is thinking a lot about you. Because if you think about it, think of the psychology of someone who's blocking and unblocking someone. It means, okay, I want to get over this person, block. Right? That's the only reason why your ex would block you on Facebook. I don't want to see this person anymore. I'm upset. I want to hurt them. I am just so sick of seeing their updates. So they block you. Then a few days go by And they start wondering, what are they up to? I want to see what they're up to. Oh my gosh, what are they up to? I don't want them to be upset. What was I thinking? Unblock. Great indicator that they're still thinking about you. Sign number 3. You hear from the sphere of influence that the breakup affected them. Okay, this is kind of a ninja tactic. So what is the sphere of influence? Well, I talk a lot about the sphere of influence on this YouTube channel, but basically the core of it is your ex surrounds themselves with people whose opinion that he or she cares about. This makes up their sphere of influence, the circle of people around them whose opinion really matters to them, who are the closest to your ex. Oftentimes we find this is actually a really underrated aspect of helping you get your ex back, but it can also kind of help in gaining information on them. After all, the door goes both ways. So let's say that you have or maintain a relationship with your ex's friends. And the friends basically sit there and tell you, yeah, he or she's been broken up without you. A great sign that they're still thinking about you. Sign number 4, you notice sudden changes in their social media behaviors. All right, sudden changes in social media behaviors sounds kind of obvious, right? But a lot of people don't realize that it does go both ways. A lot of times people think, well, my ex all of a sudden stopped posting. But it can also be true the opposite way, which is your ex over posting. There's a couple of reasons that they do this. Number 1 is if they stop posting, it's a great indicator that they're not only thinking about you, but they're depressed and they can't bring themselves to post. The other end of the spectrum is if they post too much on social media, they're trying to either one-up you, they're trying to attract someone else, or they're trying to make you feel bad. Either or, these are good indicators that your ex cannot stop thinking about you. Now, I will admit that this specific sign doesn't have a lot of romantic intent behind it. It's just something that we've noticed from exes who can't seem to get over you. You'll also notice a lot of times during the no contact rule, when you're in the middle of the no contact rule, that you'll notice this happen. Your ex all of a sudden stopped posting, or your ex all of a sudden began posting a lot. A lot of people don't think of it this way, but the opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. And the worst thing that can happen is if your ex just doesn't ever respond to you, doesn't change any of their social media habits at all, doesn't really give you the time of day in any way, bad signs. But if they're changing their social media habits, good sign. Sign number 5, you do something so noteworthy they can't get away from you. This one technically is my fun addition onto this list because this is taken directly from one of our clients or on our private Facebook group. Like I said, I was going through our private Facebook group trying to find signs that your ex still may be thinking about you. And I actually stumbled across this girl who was telling her story. She basically said that her ex is not talking to her at all. He basically won't engage her at all. I think he said something along the lines of, I don't even want to think about you. I don't want to even hear about you. And what's interesting is she's in a band. And her band, I don't want to say struck it big or anything like that, but it's getting featured prominently on the radio. And it just turns out that at her ex's work, they listen to this radio station all the time. And in the past day, they have talked about her performing at this radio station 4 times. So her ex literally cannot get away from hearing about her. This also kind of taps into that sphere of influence. Now, the radio is not part of a sphere of influence, but sometimes if you do something so noteworthy, your ex's sphere of influence will tell them about it and they will not be able to stop thinking about you. Sign number 6, they hide the new boyfriend or girlfriend from you. Now, why would an ex do this? Your ex has moved on. They've found someone new, the new love of their life, but they're hiding them from you. There's 2 things that we can think or infer from this. Number 1 is they don't want to hurt your feelings. They don't want you to feel like you've replaced them because they do value the time that you had. Number 2 is if they were really that in love with this new person, they wouldn't even care about telling you. They'd be like, look, I'm moved on, leave me alone. But they're not doing that. They're hiding the new person from you out of respect for you, which indicates that even though they're with this new person, they're still thinking about you. Now, does that imply, yes, I'm going to break up with this new person and become best friends and lovers and romantic partners with you again? No, it does not imply that. But what it does imply is the kernel of doubt with the new relationship. Not a lot, I'll admit, but a little kernel. And finally, sign number 7. They tell you to leave them alone, but they can't stop talking to you. A lot of women, and men for that matter, take their ex's words for what they mean, when the reality is they shouldn't take them for anything that they mean. A lot of times when your ex is saying game-changing statements at the end of a relationship, like, I never loved you, or stop talking to me, I never want you to talk to me again, they're speaking from a highly emotional place, not how they really ultimately will feel long-term. After all, emotions are subject to value changes. So what happens in this specific sign is your ex will make a statement like this to you. Look, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Leave me alone. But they can't help themselves. So as a few days go by, maybe even a month will go by, they begin to talk to you again and again and again. And then they'll kind of waver again, say like, look, I really shouldn't be talking to you. Or they'll make a statement, my personal favorite, which is, I don't want you to get any wrong ideas. Right? Almost implying like, hey, we'll bring the elephant out in the room here and say to you, look, we're not going to be together, but I can't stop talking to you. Now, how you respond to this is another matter entirely, but here's the indicator that I want you to take from it. If your ex is doing this flip-flop, pogo sticking type of behavior, it's a good sign that they're thinking about you a lot. They're coming back to what feels familiar. They're relying on you for emotional support. So naturally, they'd be thinking about you a lot. Now, I'm sure these are not the only signs that your ex is thinking about you. As I said, there's probably hundreds of these signs at the beginning of this video. But look, if you want a starting place and you're like, Chris, this sounds really great. I think my ex is thinking about me. I don't know whether I should get my ex back or not. Probably the best place for you to start is at our website, www.exboyfriendrecovery.com, and take our Ex Recovery Chances quiz. It's a simple, free, 2-minute quiz designed to tell you what kind of chance you have of getting your ex back. Simply look in the description below this YouTube video and click the link you see there. All right, I'll see you guys next time.